Well, welcome and bienvenue to another NeurotechX San Francisco Hack Night. NeurotechX is an international community that facilitates the advancement of neurotechnology. Our pillars are community, education, and innovation. We have chapters worldwide, meetup events, and a thriving online community, over 5,000 Slack members. So you've probably got a chapter in your city. If not, get in touch with us and we can see about helping you set one up. Also the same for your college or university. There might be an existing chapter, but if not, we'd love to help you set one up. If you're not already on Slack, please join and continue the conversation there. Also check out our online platform, educational platform, neurotechxedu.com. and sign up for a newsletter. And if you're looking for a job or interested in posting one, check out the NeurotechX job board. All right.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Which mobile EEG device do you think would be most stylish against an orange sky background?
If in our recent San Francisco Blade Runner scene, yeah. Well, so
the BitBrain one is orange, isn't it? Or the brain bit? Maybe
that's. I think I forget what it is. BitBrain or brain bit.
I think it should contrast the sky. We should have a open BCI like Apocalypse edition.
I think the Notion looks pretty cyberpunk-esque.
Yeah. I mean, let's give Neurosity, its due. It's got to be the most stylish one. I did notice. This is a total side, but Archer, the TV show Archer started again, which thank God. And they have an EEG headset. it's actually a part of the first season 11, but it looks remarkably like the was it Zito? I don't even know how you pronounce it, but
yeah, it needs to look good while you're also wearing a face mask. Like I
mean, there's got to be. I mean, the Emotive definitely has a pretty kind of cool look. CGX? The kind of like the alien who's got your head.
Oh yeah, yeah. I am so annoyed no one's made a head crab cover for EEG headsets. Like, I think it would sell very well. Like,
have you guys seen the unicorn?
Oh yeah, that one's pretty good.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, yeah. There was the lens. What was it? Ars Electronica, I think, was the actual presentation that they did. The 1024 BCI dress. I don't know if that's don't know if that really was doing orange right, but
what you should do. People
pangolin one.
What's that?
The one that was controlled by the pangolin.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw that recently. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that dress has been around a while. I got to meet the designer. She comes out to the Bay Area for events at gray area. Okay. Every once in a while, they've done a couple art, fashion meets technology, and she wants everything to be able to be controlled by emotion and biosensors. She one of her dresses has spikes that if you get too close to her, they start to spread out.
To fight back.
Yeah. It's pretty much a self-defense / porcupine active costume, and I think stuff like that could be pretty cool. Like brain controlled like dress or clothes that change. The easiest thing would just be to get one of those LED backpacks that can show emojis on the back and connect that up to a headset, and everyone can see whether you're happy or not.
Well, she was enforcing social distancing before it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dropped a link for the Zito, which is I think we've shown it before. I don't know if stylish is what I'd call it, but it can see a certain practicality. Yeah,
I had an idea for you, Morgan. Is that with what you should capitalize on the fact that everyone's wearing face masks, and for crazy people like you who want to do 256 channel EEG all over the face,
right,
as well as all over the head. And, like come up with a mask that has a bunch of channels on it.
Yeah.
Well, it would be, basically the only room left on a 256 system is around the mouth.
Yeah.
We got the cheeks covered.
Yeah. I'm excited for it looks like there's going to be another version of the VR headset that HP is releasing. The HP Reverb G2 is going to have one called the Omnicept or something, which has built-in eye tracking and a camera pointed at the mouth. So it can do facial reconstruction in VR.
Okay.
And I'm really hoping it is easy to interface with, because I want that, a EG headset, and some sort of thing that covers the rest of my face, so I just look completely like I came out of some sci-fi series.
Well, actually, what I really want to do would be, combined ears, but then basically a person's wearing a gas mask, so that you can control the mixture of oxygen and CO2. And that's the way to do, that's the way to basically do calibrated fMRI, and super useful for FNIRS as well.
That is genius.
That's cool.
That is it, man. You've had it. You've had the idea. That's the one.
You don't want to get that wrong though, because it's like that's the one time I've jumped out of a scanner. It's felt like I was,
suffocating.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to say that for those of you who are joining for the first time, now's the usual time for us to just ask if you don't mind introducing yourself and tell us what brings you here. No pressure.
Hi, I can go.
Please.
It's my first time here.
Oh, yeah, sure, Ben.
Hello. Let me see how I can see everyone. Okay. Hey, I'm Ben. I help with the Vancouver side of NeurotechX. And I guess recently I'm helping with the hardware hub. Yeah. I also run a strategic consulting and full stack AI engineering company called Atlas Holdings. And we basically find cool solutions and build them for companies and governments.
Awesome. And Ben's been around for a long time. He's been a big part of NeurotechX. Anybody else would like to just introduce themselves? I'll check the. Okay. Well, we will have chances later too. And okay, so let me see. What have we got? I mean, we were gonna, a couple of hardware announcements are certainly, I thought it was funny. Apple Apple's included blood monitoring, or blood oxygenation monitoring to the new Apple Watch, and the one review of it I've seen so far is like, you got to have really good contact to get good measurement, which surprises no one who's actually done yours. But
the new Samsung Watch does it too, apparently pretty well. I think better than the Apple one. That's what I've heard anyway.
Well, so is Josh with us?
Josh, me?
Sorry, yeah, Josh Brewster.
Sorry.
Are you Josh Phillips?
Phipps, yeah.
Yeah, Phipps. Sorry, Phipps.
Huh.
Yeah. So, Josh, I think is maybe with us with the Hedgeduino.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, somebody might be asking.
Someone just spoke up, but they are very quiet.
Oh, okay. Do you want to try again? Sorry, let me just give the whisper to you.
Thanks. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like eating the mic at this point. Yo.
Oh, is this Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You saw the Apple announcement?
Yeah. It's probably the same chip that's in like all our smartphones.
Right. And they're talking about basically like getting the best measurements at night when the person's not moving. and,
right.
Telling people to have it further up their arm.
Of course.
That's useful.
Well,
That's fashion.
On my Samsung phone, like, doesn't work unless I like practically break the phone trying to shove my thumb against it. So, yeah, they're kind of wonky. They're these little flat sensors, but then they put like a glass screen over it or something. They're meant to have like direct contact. So I think that's probably what the problem is.
So just break the glass off and be good to go.
It may be. I'd say.
Take a glass cutter, cut it off. Expensive experiment, but
Emergency.
And then I'm using like the same sensor, but I'm using an analog front end for my project.
Yeah, well, when you're ready, love to get an update. We had Bernard Marcus joined us at NeurotechX Paris on Monday to
Cool.
to talk about the latest on his like PCB strips.
Right, we've been talking about that.
Yeah, and just how that's going to work. Together with cleaning, and still super inexpensive for what he's doing.
Right.
Looks pretty impressive, and I'll talk to you later about if we can I think we should get a board out to Andre Parfanoff too.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's definitely interested in adding the brain flow support, which
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm kind of moving at a snail's pace, just trying to get them working. And then same with my FNears project. I'm just having a few humps. Nothing insurmountable.
Yeah, and it was nice. We had a lot of people, quite good attendance at Paris, and the person who's going to start the new NeurotechX Denmark in our house with the multiple NeurotechX systems. My dog is trying to get in. Come on in. Looking forward to hearing more about that. He's got 3 NeurotechX systems. They're going to be trying some hyperscanning. And they're like NeurotechX brain products, FNears EEG. So it can be really, really interesting. Okay, well, since we're talking about so many hardware devices, it's a good time to reintroduce Ben, who's going to talk to us about an upcoming NeurotechX initiative called the Hardware Hub. Hey, Ben.
Hello. Let's see here.
So,
Hey, everyone.
yeah, down the left-hand bottom corner there, if you want to share your screen.
Okay, perfect. Sharing screen. It's just it's doing its whole loading thing.
Okay, my
Give me a
docs.
second here. Oh,
Oh, you have to then select a particular screen. Gone gray though. Okay. Okay, we might have lost Ben for a second.
hello.
Yeah, hi.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Crashed. Let me do
No worries.
okay, sharing screen. Okay, Jitsi, do not fail.
There you go.
Perfect. Okay, here. 1 second here. Okay, so creating a NeurotechX hardware hub. Essentially, what we've done is gone ahead and created a NeurotechX hardware hub. Let me just pull out my presentation materials. It was closed with my Chrome crashing. So let me just pull up the document. Bear with me for less than 7 seconds. Okay, perfect. So essentially, welcome. We are NeurotechX, as you all know. What we've gone ahead and celebrate our 5-year anniversary is launched a NeurotechX hardware hub. So essentially, what we've gone ahead and done is created a one-stop shop BCI where we basically partnered with BCI manufacturers to find the best discount, the best deals. So we go direct straight to the supplier and like, hey, you know, we're a community of neuroscientists, neurohackers, give us the best discount, and we'll put it into our hardware hub and drive sales to you. So it's a pretty natural win-win-win for everyone. So what we're trying to do here is essentially put all of the different BCIs out there. We've started with a few, and I'll go to the live website in a second. But essentially right now, we're aiming to bring all of them, all the BCI, one-stop shop to limo, so to speak. So this is exclusive only to NeurotechX members, where if you want to get your password, you got to log in and create an account at neurotechx.com, officially become a member, and in your profile page, you get your exclusive password. So you can access it there, because you know we don't want to give these discounts to everyone. That's just that's kind of defeats the purpose of it, because it's for NeurotechX only. So what we've done is centralized a bunch of filtering tools that let the user, whether you're a research user, whether you're a consumer, whether you're just playing around with BCIs, say hypothetically, if you need, say, 10 plus channels, if you want a very high fidelity sampling rate, if you want to use wet electrodes, dry electrodes, you can select based on the first principles of what your device and research needs. Then it filters out, you know, based on your budget and whatnot, what your options are there. Let's see here. What's pretty cool is we've integrated everything so that you click on the button and then it just sends you straight up to the manufacturer's website with the discount linked into it. So that's pretty neat, makes it a bit simple. And let's see here. So before I go to the call to action, let me just walk you guys through the website. Okay, so we got, this is a pretty cool project. So enter using password. So the password is NTX247365. That's right, I think that's the one, yes. Perfect. So we got a list of different devices and the discounts that we have acquired just for our community. And let's see here. Yeah, it's really an ongoing process. So check out some of these filtering tools. See here. Let's say we want something with 10 plus channels, a bunch of different devices, and there's an EEG, different vendors. We're going to need help finding, let's see here. So what we need help with right now is primarily spreading the word of message, getting adoption. It'd be kind of cool if we can get maybe a few individuals who would like to join a, like a device audit committee where they propose and like get admin rights to upload new devices onto the platform. And just where we can get the community more involved as devices comes, because BCI, holy, so many new devices. It's kind of cool, but kind of hard to keep track of. So if anyone wants to get involved, please message me at benjamin@neurotechx.com or ban.tam. I think that's my handle at Neurotech X. Let's see here. Yes, that's about it in a nutshell. So there, yeah, welcome to the NeurotechX Hardware Hub. Here, I'm going to open it up for discussion or questions.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's sorry. Please, if somebody's got questions.
I wish this existed when I started.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Certainly, it's great to see the coverage. I mean, so many different devices that I recognize, and again, awesome that the Spectra EIT kit is there.
Yeah.
Well, that's really kind of you to say. We're doing our best to progress forward with it, but please let's treat this as like a rough, our first pass as we launch this, and we're going to need a lot of help to bring its full potential to bear. We built it using Shopify. Shopify and a little bit of custom code, so it's mostly super easy to use. Actually, the whole thing is super easy to use the platform. So if anyone wants to help get involved, please feel free to shoot me a message. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, we got merchandise too. If you guys want to buy like socks and stuff.
Oh, yay.
Gotcha. And
leggings.
So, if the store makes money, where's that money going to?
100% of it goes to NeurotechX, and although NeurotechX has committed to put maybe about 5% of it towards saving wildlife charity for registered charities in Canada.
Gotcha.
But other than that, 100% of all profits, because we do negotiate with each supplier a unique offering where we get a finder's fee, and our community gets a discount, and so each vendor has a unique value proposition and pricing strategy.
Sure.
So depending on whether you want to keep it private, whether you want to link up straight up through their platform through a direct link or discount code, you work with each one directly. But it's it'd be good to be able to say hypothetically onboard a few more team members who would like to get deputized to kind of help us operate this, because it's pretty. We built it, and it's for the most part fully automated. But in order to grow and scale it and add new products, there's a specific template that one follows, like maybe a 5-page document that highlights how to upload products.
Sure.
So if anyone's keen.
So NTX gets like a little slice of each purchase. Is that the system?
Absolutely. Generally, it ranges between 5 to 15%, although some vendors have been really generous and just given us up like 20 to 30% of sales, as well as a discount for our community members. So we really reach out to the executives of each firm and say, hey, look, this is where we're taking the community. We'd like to bring all the devices into one roof and help our members find the best device. So this is kind of the first pass.
I think that point that there's a slice of this going to the community is worth emphasizing when you're talking internally. I didn't actually know that. And I was kind of aware of this. I've had previews and stuff, and I just bought a Muse S from.
I totally could have used these discounts.
Maybe we can get a rebate. You can send the receipt and they'll send you a rebate. Maybe let's see if we can negotiate at it. Oh, that'd be too good. Too good.
Yeah.
But like John's right. Like saying that this is supporting NTX, the nonprofit in its outreach and educational efforts and things like that would be I think
definitely emphasize that.
I'm gonna make
and
note
the,
of
and
that
the charity
and we'll make it
as well.
happen. Yeah, we'll make that happen. Let me make a note of that right now in my NeurotechX.
And I'd love to.
Because the things that are going to get people into it, right? It's going to be like, well, there's the selection option, but if you don't need the selection, then if there wasn't that extra reason, then you'd be like, oh, well, I know what I need, then I'll just get it from wherever's easiest or most kind of standard for me to get it from. But there's the extra things, there's the slice and the discounts, right? But each of these things, like they'll probably bring in a few more people for each of those options.
That's a really good point, and essentially 100% of all the funds are going straight to reinvestment into NeurotechX's operations, like the job board, like hosting stuff, and just all the various. There's just so many operations going on, so it goes straight back to the headquarters, so to speak. But that's above me, what they choose to do with that. This project. We have a Slack channel for it in our group, in our NeurotechX channel. So that'd be kind of cool. See who else wants to get involved. And
I'd love to ask John at Blueberry about selling the individual sensors. Like he had talked about that as a. When he joined us and gave a presentation, he said that they could sell those separately, and I definitely, if we've got the Spectra kit, I want to get in touch with the ultrasound kit developer, Luc Janveau, and see if we can get their next generation kit, which is smaller and a bit more user friendly. It's like the Spectra, like it's very much like a kind of like a double E project kit. then but he's got a really an active Slack and a lot of people. Anyway, those would be my two thoughts.
Yeah, John's really, really cool. I love his work, and I'll reach out to him regarding that. I think that he's driving a lot of innovation in the field.
And I know, do you know somebody at Dream? I don't think we've had anybody from Dream come on and talk. They're in France.
I forget, but if it's not on here, I presume not.
Okay. Well, I saw Dream 2.
Oh, maybe we do.
And
I tend to forget. There's a lot of devices there.
That was one of the devices that I.
Oh yes, it is on here. Yes, we do have the Dream 2 on here.
It looks like a Muse S kind of, but also like maybe like a Philips. I forget what Philips calls their sleep device. Does anybody remember?
The Hocus Focus.
Yeah.
Hey Ben, what's the onboarding process going to be like? Like, let's say someone wants to get ECBCs up on this shop.
Yeah, well,
You know, so because ECBC is like a cheap, really cheap basic EEG device. You can hook it up to an audio jack of a phone. There's like an Android app for it. And I think it would be a cool, popular item, especially if you want to spend like maybe 20 or 30 bucks on something. But like, what? So do I just go ping you on the Slack channel and then connect you to the ECBC people if you aren't already connected with them? I guess.
I guess there's a couple of ways we could go about it, because right now, my major focus has been setting up the hardware hub and keeping in mind that right now I'm trying to build the team to potentially help with the process of onboarding. So maybe 1 or 2 operations, what people would like to join the operation. So anyone who wants to onboard a company like ICBC, they can chat with one of us, and then one of us will either talk to the team directly, or there's all the sponsor would have talked to ICBC directly. But basically, it's a 5 to 10 minute process of going onto like the Shopify platform, adding a new product, and then using the Shopify app to link the affiliate tracking link. So we either get a discount code or an affiliate tracking link for the product from each supply manufacturer. And so yeah, I guess we'd have to take it on a case-by-case basis. I mean, theoretically, we could just put all of the devices onto the website and then negotiate the sales in the future, like the discounts in the future, just so we have them all in one place and it's easy to find. So that could be something that whoever joins the team could upload, upon which like basically we need to make sure that no snake oil, no shitty devices are allowed onto the platform, and any devices that doesn't do what it's supposed to do, or is gonna fry someone's brain, maybe with a bit too much energy. We're just reading right now, right?
Let's make sure that ECBCI has that safety circuit when it ships.
Yeah.
1.1.
Yeah.
1.1.
Yeah.
Safety first. I mean,
answer. So maybe in the future I'll keep coming here, and then we can like get some experts and industry people engaged in using these devices to think about, because just me and like Fiza, who are working on this alone, we don't know all the best answers. So we can like figure that on a case by case. Maybe we can think about how we want to approach that. Feel free to join the channel. Just message me. Add you to.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure. But it really does. It sounds like one of those things where, people can essentially support us by purchasing through us with, and also still get a bit of a discount. And seems like win-win-win, which is terrific. So sorry, my daughter's coming.
For ice cream already? Isn't it early for that?
Yeah, it seems a bit early.
Yeah, the ice cream time keeps coming back a little bit, right? So it seems like a half hour earlier each week. Right?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
And Midwest time, it's definitely.
It's like the sunrise.
Yeah. I have a question, or actually a couple questions, and then I also saw Diego has a couple questions. My first question is this only going to be for EG devices, or would this be able to branch out into other like biosensor and like biofeedback devices that are associated with Neurotech, like things that you often use when doing EG or other Neurotech research? Like I'm thinking VR headsets, motion capture, eye tracking, pulse.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, the philosophy behind this is that the human is an integrated system. So rather than using just EEGs to approach it, we want to integrate as many different modalities of physics to scan this, also whether it's eye tracking, ultrasound, whether it's fMIRS. So right now we only got EEG and light based, but that's going to be one of the fun things about getting involved with this project, being able to define the different categories of devices, and then adding these filtering tools to sort of add that onto the system. So yeah, ultrasound, anything that can get human biometric data, I believe should be fair game.
Yeah. Another question I had was how, like, I think it would make sense to put other devices on the website that like are available, but we don't have discounts yet, and just like have a drop down or an option that's like, this is currently not discounted for NeurotechX people. So like we can put tons of devices on here and it be like, okay, these are currently discounted for our community. These are ones that might be discounted soon, and like ones like, if you know someone here, please contact this person in the Neurotech group to see if we can get a discount.
Can we do like a not an Amazon store, but what is it where it's just like if somebody clicks through on our link.
Oh yeah, an affiliate program link.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I haven't checked in on Amazon's current practices in a long time.
Yeah.
But I assume they're still doing something affiliate like.
Yeah.
So that would be one way, like, because it's doubtful that anybody from Philips, sleep products is going to necessarily get back to us or give us a discount, but we could still maybe get an affiliate link.
Yeah.
I can certainly think of, I definitely think it would be nice to have, somebody was asking about, TES devices.
Oh yeah.
And and I was just like, well, if you want to see what's available, go to Reddit, TDCS, and see the unregulated market on devices. But we could link to some of those that are they're electrically safety tested, and and very similar to some of the devices from like if you go to one of the like Merrim Bixum's kind of tutorial workshops, they've got a very bare bones system that it would be cool to sell, even for others to put together that kind of workshop. Yeah, but I think, I don't know if you've got a kind of like price, like eye trackers, you quickly get into the $5,000 range.
Yeah.
And I don't think we want to go there, or but I bet if you wanted to go that high, you could get a there are some companies that I wonder if, like, say Neuroelectrics would give us a bit of a discount on their 8-channel system.
Well, it's ultimately important to consider that each company generally allocates 25% of the revenues to customer acquisition. So if we go up in there and say, hey, look, let us just streamline it for you and send you the sales, it's pretty attractive proposition.
Yeah.
And in regards to the price point, I think what the better approach is to just get as many devices on board, whether they're super expensive, super cheap, just a whole range of it, and then provide the user with the filtering tools to sort through all of the devices. So that's almost like a UX challenge as well. Right now we just have the all-in-one filter tools that we have on the left-hand side of the hardware hardware, as you see. But it's work in progress.
I have a comment. It reminds me of Adafruit. I don't know if you have ever been to Adafruit.com, but as a do-it-yourselfer, like a Arduino hobbyist, and Like I love that kind of stuff. It really has that vibe, and I'm really looking forward to the contributions of like the here's how you bootstrap yourself with a muse or an emotive or a spectra. I saw that on there. I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. You have a good variety already up on the shop.
Yeah.
And I think it's really going to help contribute to that content of like, how do you get started with these devices, and the hello world kind of like, oh, here's a spectrogram, from of an orange and a cucumber for my spectra, or here's like me doing a BMI with the open BCI device, or SSVP with the emotive, and you have these like getting started stuff just like Adafruit does, and the content is of value and of interest to the community to have. And
So
if there's a
fun.
way for us to like rate it, because the quality assurance you're talking about in the hardware stack applies to the software stack and the educational content as well. So like NeurotechX is entering a new phase, and this is a great like way to get more traction. I'm so happy for this. Like I'm so happy to see it. And yeah, that's my comment.
Yeah, I'm wondering, can we integrate this with like, I don't know, were you here last week? Because there was presentation about the new like projects and stuff that NeurotechX is trying to do, like diversity, education,
Oh,
and
the town hall?
there were like 5 or 6 different big overarching groups that I think Brian was
Brian went over the town hall stuff.
Yeah,
I wasn't here, unfortunately.
Because if this can interact with that, I think we could very much do what was just mentioned about trying to have content around these devices. So like the store pages could link to some of the projects we're doing with it, or
100%.
can link to like startup guides for it, because like I've used Adafruit and a couple of the other DIY sites a lot, and one of the important things they all have is they have projects that people can practice with for their hardware. Like you can go to the store, or you can go to their blog where they have all of their projects, and the blog links to the store, and the store links to the blog, like each product. And
like an awesome BCI list, but device specific.
yeah, because I noticed there are no reviews for any of the headsets you have on the store right now. And like I think reviews will be kind helpful, but for a lot of researchers, someone saying this headset is good isn't helpful. That you need to hear detailed experiences of how people have used it and whether it's worked with their use case. Because like not every EG headset will be good at the same thing, and also not all of them get as much adoption. So like the number of reviews of a Muse headset will be 10 times that of some of these other headsets, even though it can't do the same things as a couple of the OpenBCI headsets or whatnot. But yeah, having a store, I think this will be really cool. And if we can also work with the like companies a bit, like I know one of the town hall propositions was to try to have kind of an advising group where we as NeurotechX can help advise hardware and software manufacturers on things we want. And like I've done that for a couple VR and AR device manufacturers before, and like they really want detail. A lot of these companies want detailed feedback on improvements, and I think like trading like discounts or us giving them publicity, feedback, and like development help in a sense is very doable for most headsets, even really expensive ones. In the future.
There's a really good point. It's like the more integrated you could aim to have with these the kind of other content that we can offer in these ways, like that becomes a better sell. So you can bargain harder. On the discount.
Because I'd love to see like a couple of the VR headsets that do have eye tracking be available, because like there's a couple that have eye tracking, and the best use case for eye tracking in VR is when you're able to integrate it with other biosensors and neuro research, because you're able to test so many things, because VR is a controlled visual environment, and I think there are not nearly enough developers who are trying to use hardware like that. And same with like other on-body biosensors, like if we could have like the Aura Ring, or even like if any headset or any device that like properly supports LSL or stuff, like if we could have a drop-down menu for what software it supports, like LSL, so that like people can integrate their own hardware or
sure. I mean,
software.
I think it would be great, certainly, that if our learn.neurotechx CDU, which has these comparisons, or like basically it's not so much comparisons, but just basically puts together like the features sets. LSL compatibility could be one of those things, in addition to like how many channels, what's the sampling rate, things like that we've already got, and it's like anything that's on there should be added to that particular comparison table.
Yeah, we want a massive list of all the different ways to filter things, and then we just give it to the user.
Sure. But, I mean, is there a better way to do it? Yeah, I mean, like we were pointing people to that particular web page before, and now we really want to point them to this and be saying like, this is like we're not so much giving. I mean, it's like everything's going to have a certain level of quality, but we're not sort of like endorsing any one device over another. But really just laying out like these are the differences, like Ryan's saying, like these are the strengths, and like why you would get this versus that or something like that. Anyway, I want to be able to keep us moving, but follow up with Ben if you like there's a lot of devices we can add. Like I keep on thinking of more and more, and that are certainly at the kind of like up to the range that we've got. I'm also just thinking of some experimental control hardware things that we could sell, in terms of devices that, again, like people ask about, and how to and has anybody checked with Neurable and Lucid Labs in terms of the VR EEG?
I'll reach out to Adam.
And
I don't know the Lucid person, but yeah, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be very happy to integrate all of these ideas. A lot of really good ideas, especially the linking of content to each,
and
so like doing more of what we got. I like that.
Yeah, Mike was asking about a link. Is that something? Can we give out the link?
Yeah, I mean, let me
drop that in the chat.
I'll pass off the mic and then I'll copy the link down there.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks for taking the time, everyone.
You know, we will we either need to audio cover the passwords that that you typed in, or we'll need to change it if we're going to put this recording out.
Well, if it's meant for a NeurotechX audience,
sure.
I guess we have to be a bit strategic about that, indeed.
So if you watch this, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you're already a member.
Oh God.
It changes. So by the time they see this, probably
gotcha.
So.
We can you can't see it, so it's easy to. We've gone in and changed things before.
We won't steal their data and sell it to Facebook. Give it to charity or whatever.
So does any? Sorry, I'm not. Seeing if anybody else has got any questions. Yeah, and I would. Well, again, I'm still hoping to get people on that have got emotives and talk about accessing those from Python. But okay, so changing gear. Thanks so much, Ben. And yeah, it's great to that's kind of like our first follow up from the town hall, and really looking forward to seeing how that progresses. So now I want to shift gears over to Mohit Patil, who's a grad student at University of Florida and is also our Connectome coordinator.
Hi guys.
Yeah, and so yeah, please tell us. Well, you were a part of the IEEE Brain Summer School, and that was like end of August.
Just 17th to 29th August. Yeah, it's a 2-week program.
Okay. So 2 weeks, and that was like full day program.
Yeah, I'll just go through the structure as I go through the presentation. I wanted to, Morgan, note one thing. So right now, when Ben mentioned, when he joked about selling the data to Facebook, did you guys hear about Apple's new release that they're going to add this feature which we can define which data is being sent from our device anywhere outside device, and Facebook might lose like 70 to 80% of their revenue now. And like how the same thing could be done to our EEG devices, right? Like keeping the data local and giving the user authority to decide how much is being sent out and stuff.
Yeah,
that would be a good talking point for later.
Yeah. Say that again. That Apple's decision is going to make Facebook lose half their revenue.
Apple is going to involve a feature that allows you to stop any app from sending out your data outside your phone. So you can actually block Facebook sending any data or metadata from your usage to anyone outside your phone. And that is basically the revenue model for most of the social media services, right? So they are kind of in the rush right now to how to get around this.
It's some they're upping the game on tracking blocking. Which if you look at
good.
Yeah, I mean if you look at what Apple gets its money from and which is still pretty much hardware, and what Facebook does, Facebook and Google, which is pretty much advertising. It's a bit of it's a strategic move, but yeah, probably a good one.
Like given the recent grilling that the Senate did, I think this is quite huge for 2021, and they're aiming already for January or February 2021. So this is quite solid. They are not just throwing something off the shelf. They have plans in place. Yeah, so I'll just get along with my presentation.
Sure, but I also thought, I mean, you know, in the Facebook Connect discussions that especially around the AR glasses, you know, there's some really important, you know, discussions that need to be had in terms of like, you're now walking around essentially with your phone with a camera pointing out. And, like obviously this is going to have a, you know, with a mic on, like it's going to be, you know, yeah.
I used to go to relatively secure facilities with a Google Glass on. I couldn't take my phone in, but they let me walk with my Google Glass. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm just touching, taking pictures.
Yeah,
I can't bring my phone in, take pictures, but
yeah, I actually really enjoyed Google Glass. Mine is currently at MIT Media Lab. I gave it to a researcher there, but I brought it to tons of conventions, and I have to say, recording video with it, it was so good. I did first-person perspective testing of a ton of equipment with it, where like for video games, for hardware, for it made a ton of sense to have a camera on a pair of glasses, but it could have used a lot more power. Like
the battery was just dreadful. It was like
I always had it plugged into a battery bank, and it heated up so hot that it actually corrupted the media files. After an hour and a half of video recording one day, the files got corrupted because the internal chip got to like 160 Fahrenheit or like 8590 Celsius, and that was on my head. Like I almost got a burn from wearing it. Like I had to put quite a bit of like
well,
it was not fun.
It's we're not going to see anything from Facebook or Apple that we can purchase very soon, but they will get the benefits of increased miniaturization and more efficient batteries. Let's let Mahit get started, just because like I think we've got a lot of there's a lot in the materials that we could really go into detail on, and yeah.
All right, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
All right, perfect. I'll just introduce myself. So I come from mechanical engineering and physics background. I finished it back in India, and when I was working on my master's thesis, that's when I got introduced to signal processing for biomedical applications and signal processing in neural signals. So now I am a graduate student at University of Florida, and I'm part of a computational neuroengineering lab with Dr. Joseph Principe as my PI. With NeurotechX, I've been working since last year, and right now I work with Chapters Initiative with Brian and Jan. I work as Chapter Connectum Coordinator, and I think I have interacted with many of you in that role. So yeah, as I said, I attended IEEE Brain Virtual Summer School 2020 from August 17th to 29th. It was a 2-week program sponsored by, of course, IEEE Brain and my boss, Dr. Principe, and Dr. Wong from Hong Kong. They were the main organizers. Most highlight of this summer school was the faculty. We had amazing faculty. I would say they covered almost they touched on major topics when it comes to neural signal recording as well as processing. So we had 4 lectures for the first week, and fifth was backyard brains introduction, which I'll get to later. But these 4 lectures were like 3 to 4 hours lectures, followed by a couple of hours of interaction with TAs and professors. Um, these interaction hours were, I think, the most beneficial to all the participants. If you look at the list, they start with neurophysiology and basic biology of the brain. Then they go into the methods of acquisition. And I'm from totally non-invasive background, so this was the first time I got in-depth look into invasive stuff. Uh, Later, then they came to the point where they started on different body functions, um, followed by, in the end, we learned about how each lab and professor actually does the signal processing. So they quite gave us insight into their work. So for the structure, we had cohort. They had selected 20 international students. They had strategically selected them from diverse countries. So from US, there were only two of us. One was in the West and one was in the East Coast. 5 days of lectures and seminars, followed by next week 5 days of project and presentation. Pretty good format, I think. And the closest I could compare this to is the kind of miniaturized what Neuromatch Academy does usually. Uh, yeah, I just mentioned all of the highlights. So this is the project we chose. I think everyone kind of is introduced already to basic stuff. So we chose steady state visually work potential to work upon because we had to work on backyard brains kit. They were the collaborators of the organizers, so we had to use our kits. The thing with backyard brains kit is in EEG backyard brain kit is just a headband. I'll just show you a picture. Yeah, it looks something like this. It's just a headband with two metal buttons, literally two metal buttons stitched to it. So those are your electrodes. It's a single channel EEG, so you can imagine that it's not really high resolution data. So we know that SSVP is supposed to give out excitations even without noise removal or filtering. So it's the easiest to kind of judge the performance of the signal you are getting. Good thing about backyard brains, even with the simple spiker box, they can stream up to 10 kilohertz of data with single channel. That was pretty impressive. They have integrations with OpenVibe, and they provide modules to import data, like stream data directly into MATLAB and Python. From our experience, it worked well in two cases, either on the occipital lobe for like visual stimuli that we use, or in the frontal lobe where you can just go with eye artifact detection. It failed miserably on uh, motor imagery experiments that we carried out. But then we got a little creative. We tried different types of electrodes. They provide patch electrodes as references, but there are another patch electrode set that we tried to get better signal. Our group wasn't able to get very accurate signal. So just to give you kind of idea about the performance of the signal, uh, for the 15 hertz stimuli on the left, I would have expected even nearer peak. Now we are getting at 16.1 hertz. Uh, that was correctly classified because there is no other peak or no other excitation frequency after that. But as soon as we go in the middle, so we had 12 hertz and 15 hertz as similar, right? So in between, it gets a little foggy. Good thing, again, we have pretty good frequency resolution at this point, almost zero point 0.1 hertz, which is pretty impressive again for such a simple kit. That's the overview and my analysis of the quality of the signal I could get. I have one video of Dr. Marzullo walking back at Brains Kit. I'll share that after this. So these are the people involved. I'd like to thank every one of them, and I have the materials. If any one of you is interested in going through the details of this, please let me know, and we can talk about it further. Uh, Let me just get to the video. Margaret, can you just someone just confirm if you can hear the audio in the video clearly?
Sorry. Yeah, I was muted.
Yeah, audio is clear.
You're a bit quiet.
All right, let me go.
I can't hear.
Were you guys able to hear?
I'm not able to. Are you, Ryan?
I can't hear.
Yeah, I couldn't hear the video, and your audio kept dipping pretty low.
Here, let me give it a shot, okay, Mohit?
Yeah, Margaret, go ahead.
Just 1 sec.
Yeah.
Because I've got it here too, and let me see if I can. Okay, let's see. Oh, sorry, I'll move it back.
Well, hello everybody. Thanks for inviting me to share some of the.
Can people hear that?
I can.
Okay, I will get it started.
Experiments with you and talk about the equipment that y'all have now. I'm pretty excited to see what y'all come up with your creative projects. So, excuse the bad lighting. We're traveling in the south of South Korea, Busan. For some of you who know South Korean geography, we're running some classes at a high school around here. So again, excuse the light, but we'll try to make the best of what we have and try to learn something. So I'll share my slides here. Okay. Okay, so you all have the heart and brain spider box, and you all are going to learn how to use it, and we try to make it easy to use, and you all will be doing your own individual projects, which we're very excited to see what you come up with. Okay. So you can see I have electrodes on my wrist. I have 2 signal electrodes here, and I have a ground electrode here. And then what I have here is what you all have through the great coordination of Sin Kun. This is the heart and brain spiker box, and I have it hooked up via USB. You can also hook it up to a tablet or a smartphone, and I have it hooked up to a Microsoft computer through the USB port and a Surface. So I'm going to turn on the Microsoft the Surface. Okay, give me a second. It's already on. I'm just going to log in. It's very important to know that. Okay. All right. So then you can see I have my computer here, and there's a program here called Spike Recorder, which you can download on our website. Go to backendbrains.com/store, and on the left-hand side of the store, you'll see software, and they're just free download links. So you just open Spike Recorder, and this works on Windows, Apple, and works on smartphones and tablets. So you can see right now it's just recording my voice. I don't have the Spike box on here. All right. So you are listening to my voice. But you have the spiker box here, and then hold on, let me see, make sure you guys can see the screen. All right, so now you're just gonna look at my torso and the screen. So you see the spiker box here. I'm gonna hook up the electrodes right here. So again, sorry for the bad light. There's really not much I can do about that. We tried the traditional lights in the room. So you can see I'm going to put the black electrode, the black cable, which is ground, on my wrist right here, and then I'm going to put the red on the black ground on the back of my palm, and the 2 red signal electrodes across my 2 wrists. All right. I'm a native English speaker, but even saying the word wrists still it's hard for me. Okay, so I'm just going to turn the spiker box on. Okay. Okay, so then the Windows computer said, I see something. Let's wait for it to grab. Hold on. All right, we have the signal. The demo is working. Tim is breathing a sigh of relief. Okay, so it appears we see something. Hold on. All right. So what we see there is my lovely heartbeat, and it also appears that my heart is upside down, so I have to go to the hospital. No, I'll just switch the red electrode. So you can tell after you look at the signal from a bazillion times. All right, so let's wait for the signal to reacquire. Okay, sorry, I'm looking at this backwards. So, all right, so now you see my my EKG. If you want to record the signal, there's a red button right here, right? So now it's recording the signal, and then when I'm done recording, I hit stop recording. You know, it'll tell you where it's saved, and it's saved as a WAV or a WAV file. So that can be opened by really anything. You can open that in Python and MATLAB, in including iTunes. So it's an open standard. You don't have to play with any proprietary standard formats. There's no backend-based format. Okay. So now what's cool about this is I can then go into there's a little button here in the upper corner that says threshold. Okay. So I'm click the threshold button, and now you can see I'm in the threshold mode. I'm just gonna. So now it's gonna kind of freeze the screen every time I have a threshold crossing. Let me do that. All right. Now we see my lovely EKG there, and then there's a little button right here that looks like a heart. Okay. And I'm going to click the heart button. And so it's hard to see because of the lighting, but up here it's telling me my contractions.
The audio cut out in the video.
Okay. Just 1 second.
Were other people able to hear the audio the past 15 seconds?
No, 30 times.
No, last 10 seconds were blank.
Can you hear that, Epic?
Yeah, I think it's back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
See these classic components. We see the P wave, which is right here. That's the contraction of the atria. Then we see the QRS interval, which is the contraction of the ventricles. And then we see the T wave here, which is the preparation of your heart for the next contraction. I know some of you had interest in EKG, EMG, excuse me. So I'm going to go. So now we're just in free running mode, and so EMG is a very powerful signal. So watch what happens when I just flex my wrist. The signal gets all corrupted because my EMG is flooding my amplifier because EMG is a huge muscle signal. So what I can do is actually just reposition the electrodes on my forearm. So, and of course, there's no heart between the two electrodes on my forearm, so the EKG signal has gone away. But watch when I, oh wait, nothing happened. Hold on. Yeah, so the EMG is not really that clean on that. So yeah, so you can try to record EMG by placing the signal electrodes on different parts of the body. You might be able to eke it out. So you're gonna have to play around with that. So hold on a second. Now my heart disappeared. Oh no. Maybe electric. Oh, there we go. We're back. Okay. So now you can see my flexing is causing EMG bleed through. So for some reason, when I move the electrode, all right, there you go. I just had a bad connection. All right. So you can see when I flex, we are extracting a sort of EMG. Now the filters are kind of low for EMG, but you can extract some sort of EMG. So the experiment didn't work because the electrode wasn't properly placed. Kind of hot here. So there you can sort of record EMG with heart and brain black box as well. It's just distorted, but depending on your application, that might not matter. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the slides here. Right, so share screen. Okay, so So you all saw this. So this is I put this on the Slack, this slide, the lectures, so you can download these slides and use them. So the P wave, you can see the contraction of the atria, the PR interval for blood to flow into the ventricles, and then the QRS, which is the contraction of the ventricles, and the T wave, which is the preparation of the heart for the next contraction. So you do a number of experiments with by measuring your heart rate. You can study the involuntary nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. So the way you do that is you can deliver yourself a painful stimulus. So the classic painful stimulus is ice water. So you just stick your hand in ice water, and as your hand starts as you start feeling the pain, your sympathetic nervous system will turn on, and you'll notice your heart rate go up. So you can see this is a figure I made in that lab. My resting heart rate was between 55 and 65, and then as I put my hands in the ice water, after about 20 seconds, my heart rate shot up to about 85, 90. And then when I took my hand out of the ice water, it went back down to 60. You can also study the diving response. It's very strong in marine mammals, but if you dive under cold water and hold your breath, your heart rate will go down. It's not as strong in humans, but it does exist. I did that with myself, and I just kind of a weird experiment where I just put my face underwater in a cooking pan. But you can see my heart rate was 55, and then it went down to 50 for about 10, 20 seconds. And I took my face out of the water, started breathing again. You can see my heart rate go up. All right, so now we're going to study the EEG. All right, so I have this headband on, not because I want to look cool, but we have two buttons here on the back. And what we're going to do, and I have the ground behind my ear. So we're just going to put the black electrode behind my ear, the ground behind my ear. Okay. Okay, so we have the red ones attached on the back there. All right. Okay. Now wait for the signal to lock. I'll put it on the screen here. Okay, this may or may not be my brain. We do not know. Okay, and if I move my head or do anything, I'm going to swamp the EEG. Okay, so I'm going to step back. All right, y'all can see that. Sorry for the reflection. All right, there we go. All right, now watch what happens when I close my eyes. You saw those ripples. Those are the alpha waves of the visual cortex. When I close my eyes and the neurons in my visual cortex become synchronized. All right, so here we go again. All right, so it's very clear there. And so then there's a button up here that's called FFT, right? So I'm going to hit again, all these movements, all these jumps here are from me talking. If you're doing EEG, it's important that you're totally chill. You're not doing anything. It's one of the weakest signals you can record, electrical signals from the body to record. Okay, so now I'm going to hit the FFT. Come on, you can do it. All right, so now we're doing an FFT. Ignore the EEG while I'm talking. Okay, but when I'm not talking and I close my eyes, it should increase power at 8 hertz. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to close my eyes. And so you saw the increased ripples of the visual cortex, the alpha wave. So we are recording from the brain here. That is my brain. And then we have a secret little button right here, which is a speaker icon. And watch what happens when I click it. We are now converting the strength, the amplitude of the alpha waves, the strength in the alpha bands, into a tone. So the more alpha wave activity there is, the higher the tone. So this is sort of a biofeedback or a brain-computer interface. Right. So when I close my eyes and there's increased power in my alpha waves in my visual cortex, we should hear the tone increase in frequency. So wait for it. And if I want to record the data, so I'm just opening and closing my eyes, but the signal that's playing music is my brain. So I am making music with my brain, as it were. And then of course, if you want to record the signal, you just hit the record button, and it saves as a WAV file, and then you can import it into MATLAB as you wish. And also, if you want to add event markers, there's a little secret. You can just hit buttons like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, and so those are add event markers into your recording if you want to do kind of averages in MATLAB or Python. Okay. All right. So what I did is I took the headband off. I have the electrodes now on the side of my eyes, and then the ground on the back. And so this is kind of hard for me to do, but look at my eyes, and then you can see that the signal's kind of going crazy anyway. But look at my eyes, and look at the screen where I move left versus right. So some of you can actually be kind of creative. This is another signal you can use. So you can do left versus right, and you can also do up versus down. So I'm gonna take these electrodes off the side of my head. The things we do, we're so dedicated. All right. Okay. Now I'm gonna go above and below the eye. So one right here, and then one below the eye, right here. All right. So I'll go push it on right here, and push it on right here. All right. Now look at my eyes as I look up versus. Wait, let's wait for the signal to stabilize. All right, we have the signal. Okay, whenever you plug in a spiker box, that's just to wait about 5 to 10 seconds as the software locks on to the spiker box. Okay, so now watch as you can see it as I blink, that the blink coming through. Now if I move my eyes up versus down, I'm now going to try not to move my eyes. It's hard not to move your eyes actually, so I'm going to try to keep my eyes still and look up versus looking down. Okay, so you see my eyes. Okay. So, you can see the polarity shifts. The direction of the signal, whether it goes up or down, it changes whether it goes up versus down. What's also kind of fun with this eye thing is that you can go into threshold mode and click on the heartbeat thing. And so watch this. And I'm going to make a sound. So we blink once every 1 or 2 seconds, but we never really realize it. But now you can see that I have this little heart blink detector, and you can actually hook your parents up or hook your friends up, and they'll be kind of shocked how much we actually blink. We're constantly lubricating the front of our eyes by blinking. So, all right. And again, you can record that and do your own data analysis. So, hold on. Oh no! All right, hold on. Let me keep this off here. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, Backdoor Brains has been at it for about 10 years. This was us 10 years ago as we were finishing grad school. It was called just a bunch of messy prototypes. But we just, like we're asking you all to do, use your education and your creativity and try to come up with something that interests other people. So hopefully you guys will be able to solve a problem for all of us working together on this wonderful mystery of what the brain is and how it works. So thank you so much for your time. And again, just try to be as creative as possible. I look forward to seeing what y'all come up with.
Yeah, and we don't talk enough about backyard brains. So I mentioned them on Slack a bit ago in terms of it's a low cost platform, and I know that they also just recently did the I think it was like a INCF Latin America event. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think there are few things I really like about BYB. So Dr. Marzullo made it clear that the goal of Backyard Brains is educational purposes. So this kit is not really designed for any kind of experimental level stuff. They are just to introduce people to EKG, EMG, and EEG. But if you see, I like the fact that they have kept all the lab setups equivalent. So you get still time markers. You can synchronize to carry out basic protocols. You can have stimuli versus recording synced automatically. And you can use all three functions throughout. I think they're upgrading the version to new Spiker box as well. But they have kind of miniaturized standard lab protocol into very simple educational device. So that was I really liked that. And even with, I think, just metal buttons, he was able to get quite good detection between I blinks and alpha waves, right? That was impressive. I couldn't get it myself. I have the Backyard Brains kit, but I can't get any intelligible signal out of it. I'm sorry. I wanted to present what he did in front of this, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That would be cool. So wait, did you say you've got one of those boxes?
Yeah, just hold up.
Because I'm curious. How much is it like? Mind Effect is essentially, or what Mind Effect was selling originally was essentially a Raspberry Pi and some electrodes, right?
Yep.
And connectors. How much? It looks very Raspberry Pi-ish.
Exactly. This is a Pi. This is nothing more. Just this is reprogrammed Raspberry Pi. That's it.
Okay.
That's true. And I think what they have done really, I think this is very comparable to ECBC. When you mentioned ECBC also has audio input. This also gives you mobile recording on phone and stuff. So that's pretty good, I guess.
Gotcha.
With just 9 volts, they have achieved, I think, 40 hours of battery life. Another impressive thing. Dr. Marzullo also showed us some of the experiments he carried out on himself regarding sleep detection. And he had EEG band on for overnight. And he has gotten pretty good results. So, yeah, it seems promising. So, as you said, I think Mind Effect was a little more scientific in terms of bands and electrodes.
Well,
so this is,
and they were, they both obviously have a software stack too, right?
Yeah.
And Mind Effect was definitely, going for
that's just
like a decoding software stack.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think the issues are for, what's the trouble that you are having trying to recreate these demos?
Honestly, we couldn't point it out. I have very less hair than Dr. Marzullo. That shouldn't have been a problem. I followed the protocols extensively. That shouldn't be a problem. So out of 5 teams, 1 team was able to get SSVP excitations pretty good. So we know that it works, but we also know that it's not as reliable in performance as other EEG systems as we would expect. But come on, they are doing amazing job for what they provide. Yeah, and I ran out of electrodes. I might have few. So they provide a lot of patch electrodes. I think I might have few left. Yeah, I think this set of patch electrodes they'll provide. These are better than the metal buttons. We tried EEG data with replacing these buttons with the patch and seeing if we get a little bit of improvement. But I think they are keeping it cost effective, and that's their limitation right now.
Yeah, sure. So this made up the demos. I dropped in a link to their website, and it looks like there's a lot more information we can get about them.
And I think Morgan, I was thinking of proposing this with EDU as well, because if we have like for very early beginners a module, this would be good. Like $150 is something that can order. I don't see any competitor in the price range. So for NeurotechX EDU and for the younger, like very young audience, I think we can look at this as a potential candidate.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I agree. I mean, like I said on Slack, you know, like it's, you know, it's at this kind of like price point range that really is set up in particular for you know, beginners
Exactly.
with you know, like you can see in their website like slap on demos. It would be nice to know that is super easy to make work, as opposed to, you know, I've gotten the Open EEG kit from Olimex, and you know, it's definitely more putting it together. You don't get a software stack, you know, so you're getting essentially like an Arduino project you can play with, and you know, which again, like, has its place. I think you can get up to 8 channels. This is 2 channels.
No, this is EEG is single channel. In EKG and EMG, you get 2.
Okay. Yeah. And now you know, I think Josh is still with us. You know, hopefully free EG32 will come in at this price point. You know, which you can, you know, Bernard was showing us at NeurotechX Paris, like you can definitely get, you know, you're going to have to make your own kind of like breakout box in terms of splitting like EKG and EEG, giving them separate references and things like that. But you know, you've got 32 channels to play with on the free EG32. So you can even hook up a, you know, a cheap 32 channel cap potentially. You know, we're not there yet, or at least the crowd supply project is still not gone live, but yeah, really cool. So you've got a lot of, I mean, you've got a lot of materials, slides and things too, right?
Yeah. So the 4 topics I mentioned, I have like 4 presentations from the professors. Yeah, I can send out personally through email if necessary with their permission.
Yeah. So let's find out about that. You know, I'm hoping that they will let us, you know, share this, and
I'll get on it.
because it really looks great. And you know what so you know, I've had a chance to look over this, and certainly one of the things that that I was, you know, excited to see. I don't know, excited. I mean, it was great to see, just because I don't see that this come up in any of our previous demos, or certainly in kind of like MOABs, motor imagery studies, is really capturing like full range motion, you know, like capturing motion dynamics, or more than just like imagined motion, or, you know, real motion. And you know, it's certainly really valuable in terms of the kind of discussion that we were having about Neuralink and BCIs. You know, when you do go invasive, you know, one of the reasons is certainly that you want much higher kind of bandwidth connection to, you know, to the neural architecture, or, you know, the neural substrate, so that you can be pulling out not you know, binary class labels or something like that, but like real information.
Are you referring to one of the monkey experiments that was discussed? With the full that was amazing.
And that's very much, I mean, if you look at, you know, Flip Sabi's work, who was, you know, chief scientist at Neuralink, those are the kind of experiments that he was doing in non-human primates, right? Yep. It was all about grasping and arm planning, motion planning, and real complex motion control, or arm control.
For reference, I think Dr. Sibbs had discussed this in neuroprosthetics workshop, like last month somewhere. I think people can go check that out.
That's right. That's right. The Neurotech and that presentation is available now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear my daughter's calling the dog, but yes, which is awesome. I mean, it was a great workshop in general. Just a second.
Yeah. And guys, did you watch Neuralink's demo? Because in that demo as well, when there were that Gertrude and the pigs, the first showcase of those pigs was again the movement, like the motor planning and execution within non-human primates with Neuralink pigs, Morgan.
Yeah. Sorry, just getting a link so we can remind ourselves of the that recent workshop. Oop.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Okay. So I somewhat screwed up that link, but that was the summer school, and you can see a link to the recorded talks. Lots of great stuff there. And Blake Richards. And Philip Sabies, and some of their crazy Neuralink equipment. Right, high bandwidth sensing. So many great. I should have. I need to add more references to this, to the Neuralink BCI's presentation. Great. So, right. Yes, you've dropped in your email. Anything else you want to cover?
No, just discussion. We can continue the discussion, and I wanted to know if anyone has heard from Mind Effect, because their website clearly now says that the project worked, but the business model didn't. And I was kind of wondering.
Yeah. So I know I reached out to Jason, Jaden, who's had to leave early.
Jaden.
Put you guys in touch in terms of I forget. No, it was. Well, Jaden was one of the people, and he also heard from Jason, in the sense that they're still a viable entity, and they seem to be moving away from the Raspberry Pi as a base, but they have every intention of restructuring and continuing to support the devices. So let me just pull up. Let me just pull up what I got.
I think now they're more into not as a product, a whole product, BCI product, but a base EEG technology provider. I'm not updated, or I'm not sure if I'm
okay. So end of August, I got there will indeed there will be updates to the software, and it will be open source. And that the best forum for tech support is by posting an issue on GitHub. Indeed, that is our preferred support method. So let's let's just quickly pull that up. He didn't give me a link, but is it just GitHub Mind Effect?
Yeah, let me find out. Yeah, I got it. I'll just put it up there.
Oh, they got a good scientific advisory board.
Are you looking on their web page?
No, I mean I was, but it is just github.com/mind effect.
Yeah, that.
I'm just seeing when I'm just checking out. Well, so Jaden's the last person to have posted an issue. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Let's see what is.
But for sure, the Mind Effect as an assistive device product is they're terminating the line, right?
Say again.
Mind Effect, their package that was supposed to be like SSVP and P300 based, the whole UI for disabled communication, like assistive and augmented communication category. I think they shut that down, and now they are just EEG technology providers, kind of. I am not like you tell me more.
I won't judge anyone on their pivot.
No, of course, yeah. I was just wondering how they did that though, because their product was very focused on SSVP and P300, and like pivoting that from a full-blown EEG system is kind of yeah, it's a big step.
So you know, I wasn't. I think, you know, Jaden could say more because I think you know, they were a Kickstarter project, right? And
yeah.
So I haven't, you know, I haven't done a timeline of their marketing materials since their inception in terms of, you know, what they were talking about at the beginning and how things are going. And, you know, obviously they've had some issues. How long have they been? Let me just check their press. Okay, so they spun off from Donders Institute September 2017.
Wow.
Let's see, they got 10 people. It's pretty big. Oh, so launched on Kickstarter in January.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that it was that recent.
No, this is the next project. Like after their pivot, now they're on the Kickstarter, I suppose.
Okay. Well, yeah, I will put it out to them that they could, you know, always join us either at Hack Night here or NeurotechX Paris, and yeah, I'd love to see what they're working on, but we will, yeah. Follow up because I'd love to be able to make that all those slides available. It's a really nice set. I mean, it looks like a really comprehensive, you know, very focused on this kind of, or you know, in particular, I was quite taken with the BCI slides. And so, yeah, if anybody's got any other questions for Mohit.
I'll also try to get from them if they're planning to put the whole seminar as video series or something. If that's amazing for us. Otherwise, yeah, we'll just go with the slides.
Yeah, please. You know, as a student, you'll get a better response.
Yep. Definitely.
And if anybody knows Tim, yeah, please let me know or can approach.
I can get. Yeah, exactly. Should we propose him as a guest here?
I'm definitely going to ask him. So, yeah. But if anybody knows him, if anybody's got a better in, let me know. But I will ask him. And great. Okay, let me. So.
Yeah, I know one of my friends just joined tonight who would like to introduce themselves.
This is a perfect time. Please introduce yourself. Tell us what you're interested in.
Cool. Can you hear me all okay?
Yep.
Got the thumbs up. Hey, I'm actually simulcasting your event through Noisebridge at the moment, testing cool Jitsies.
Good.
So you're all virtually in hackerspace here in the background, and I'm physically here. Yeah, we're actually setting up the new space for Noisebridge at Cap Street. I just got an in-house Jitsi server running. So at the end of this, if anybody's interested in stress testing it, that would be awesome. But in the meantime, hey, I am Bo. The X is silent, and big fan of EEG. I actually spent some time working with Kickstarter, managing the outreach for design and technology, and got to know some of the folks from Open BCI and worked on a couple other projects. Also gave a talk beginning of last year on DIY EEG, mostly talking about backyard brains and the Open BCI project.
Okay, we just were talking about backyard brains.
yeah, they do really cool stuff. I also been my housemate Dan actually has been hosting the Wednesday night weekly neuro meetings at Noisebridge for nearly a decade now. So I'm a fan of EEG. I'm a realist. Like the actual, I'm gonna think my way to control the computer is much further down the road than I would like, but do like that it's continues to be more and more accessible to do brainwave monitoring and state. Also have spent quite a bit of time hanging out with Masahiro and helped him host an event at a club in Berlin last year, doing live demos with real-time projection to the Brainduino. And it looks like the pigs are in the lead with the neuro hackery at the moment. Looking forward to seeing where that goes next. But yeah, glad to drop in and say hey.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome, and yeah, we're looking forward to talking more about the new space there at Noisebridge, and there would definitely be some we've got some interest in terms of we've tried to run our own Jitsi server before. There's definitely some benefits, and we would still have the problem that I can't use the link. I can't use a non. I've got to use the top level domain of like.
You can't use a custom domain, yeah. So like if it was meet.neurotechx.com or meet.noisebridge.com or whatever, meetup.com will not let you do it. It has to be like a Slack domain, a Cisco Connect domain, or a Jitsi domain. It's really lame.
And this is so typical of tech companies, is that they give you a button to press to be like, tell us about the URL that you want to use, and and we can approve it or something. Anyway, like I submit this thing, never heard back from them.
Yeah.
It's like six months now.
Yeah. I mean, our X isn't the NoiseBridge one pretty custom domained link through?
Yeah, we're running jitsi.noisebridge.io now, but Meetup will give you the same hassle. And I sent you a message on Discuss because I got the heads up after 6 o'clock, so I couldn't actually register and get the link. So I really suggest people doing Meetup events post the link directly in the description.
Yeah.
Along with the password, and then you can change the password for each event if you need to.
So can we use the lobby?
Yeah, we should try that.
Yeah, the lobby is really the best option.
Because now I've got a lobby option. Sorry, I'm gonna let my dog in because he's gonna.
Yeah, because X, I don't know if you know, a couple months ago, this meeting did get Zoom bombed or Jitsi bombed. I can't believe Zoom bombed is actually the now colloquial term.
I do it too.
But yeah, so but also during lives, if we can make sure that the lobby works correctly, we can start live streaming again. I don't know what happened, but I have been getting a slightly better upload connection lately once I changed DNS servers or DNS systems, and I get consistently 5 megabytes more upload, and I love it.
Well, the other thing I would suggest trying is publicly announcing a link to the YouTube live stream, so you can have a view only.
Yeah.
And then if you monitor the chat there as well, you can invite people. You could use this more as like the speaker /panel /Q&A room, and have a more broad stream push.
Yeah. I mean that's kind of what we were doing before. We were live streaming on YouTube and Twitch, and using Jitsi. And anyway, maybe when the one thing with the lobby is that we would need somebody to be a moderator, in the sense of really, with a full eye on, people coming into the lobby. And because we do, we're not sort of starting at a particular time and everybody comes, people are coming in and out. And anyway, so I still want to test that, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. I always recommend for live stream events to have a dedicated backup house.
Totally.
Which I've done quite a few times. I'd be happy to do it one of these weeks as well. But it really helps to let the main host just focus on the live conversation, and then have somebody in the background pushing buttons.
It would be great. I mean, honestly, I posted things on Eventbrite before, and sometimes I get the feeling people don't check for a second email when we were sending the password right before. And so it'd actually just be awesome to give people a link, and then essentially have a guest list of RSVP, people. Do we have, that's the live stream cap? I'm seeing outside.
Yeah, this is live from the nose bridge, and you can see yourself as well here. Get the let me get the double recursive meeting going.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
But yeah, here's the ground floor noise bridge, and here's
God, it's gonna be so clean.
Here's inside. Oh, there's out the second floor looking at our dumpster. If anybody wants to come and throw stuff in a dumpster from the second floor, we're looking for all the help we can get.
Good to know. So that's ongoing. Yeah. What's the status there?
Well, we've got until Saturday to fill the dumpster.
Okay.
And
then they're gonna come pick it up.
We're mostly moved out of mission, other than things that we can't carry down the stairs. But this week there's still a lot of little cleanup, like pulling things out of the ceiling, and there's always more. So moving never ends until you just stop.
Yeah.
Sure.
We also, I hope someone's able to pick up that server rack at some point over in the sunset, because it would be nice to have a proper server rack for some of the stuff, because like we have, I think, 3 rack mount computer cases that aren't being used for anything right now, and we could easily build a gaming computer or a like machine learning computer that could be useful during, like, if we wanted to actually have some live demonstrations during these hack nights, because they are called hack nights, and lately we haven't been actually physically hacking all that much things, but I really think thanks to things like EEG notebooks, we can start to do some actual physical like projects and run certain tests if we get a good computer set up at some place like Noise Bridge.
And I was thinking that with, like, most people only have like MacBooks when it comes to actually data processing, and so maybe even I picked up like secondhand enterprise servers are really cheap, where 12 cores for like a few $100, and then just hosting like almost like a play area or workspace for people to just be able to like run against data sets on things that aren't like a 4-core MacBook. But yeah, that might be, I don't know if that'll be helpful for the community. I'm always extra about my hardware.
Yeah, I know. I think it's the Noise Bridge Dream Team has a colo server for that purpose. I don't remember how much use it actually gets, but it was pretty well spec'd. But I also know, I think, did Marion give NeurotechX those like 10 or 12 servers that used to be in her garage? Because if we still have those at like Red Vic, we could probably put those in a server at Noise Bridge.
Well, so Alex and I went and picked up stuff from well, I should say Alex picked up stuff and graciously dropped some stuff at my house the way. But yeah, so we should find out about that, because Red Vic's gonna have to turn in its keys like end of the month.
Yeah. Like, I know a lot of people who want to try to either buy or get some of their upfront stuff, but like, did you get your TV back or any of that stuff yet?
Yes. That my kids were they were very happy. the TV is downstairs and is now, gaming streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a really nice TV.
It's a great TV that is actually an awesome experimental control system in the sense that, those OLEDs can do, amazing visual psychophysics stimulation.
The new ones have really absurd response times and run at can run at 120 frames per second synchronized to computers. And something that I just now thought about for Neurotech applications is NVIDIA just released a few developer tools for system latency analysis, and it's like absurdly accurate of every step of latency, from like press a button to a change on a screen, or change on the screen, how long it takes you to press a button, and every step in between, including TV to graphics card to processing, all of these different steps. And if that could be synchronized with EG and stuff, you could have a much more accurate tuning of what are people perceiving. And
I mean, this comes up especially with, like the discussion last week in terms of steady state VEPs for BCI, where especially in like spellers and things like that, or as you're trying to do, higher bit rates, you need to have multiple frequencies, right? If you're frequency tagging, like his Arvin's example of these 7 circles, and then you've got to do, you've got to choose frequencies that, one, are far enough apart for detection, but two, that their harmonics don't interfere. And anyway, you end up with these fractional frequencies that you eventually have problems unless you can do very high refresh rate. So anyway, a lot of those BCI some of these BCI devices actually get made with microcontrollers and LEDs, because again they don't actually need to do a full picture. These cases, it's just look at the spot that you want. Those microcontrollers obviously have much faster clock rates.
Yeah.
And anyway, love to if you've got a link on any of those NVIDIA tools, that'd be super interesting.
I'll try to find. I've been watching through all of this stuff about their new hardware, and I'm going to watch a couple analysis of their new machine learning and stuff like that, just to see how applicable it is to different applications, because the 3080 is really dang fast. It's really good.
Good. And just to mention, that NoiseBridge has had a dream team meetup for a very long time. Is it a decade now? That would be on Wednesday nights. Obviously, with COVID, I don't know how much Dan's been. I've joined a couple of Dan's online versions since lockdown, but really, and I forget the gentleman you mentioned who did the demo in Berlin, but he joined us for one of those Dream Team meetups online too. And so I've got a presentation I can do I think with the time remaining, just in terms of, I wanted to run through the presentation that that I gave for NeurotechX India, that had set as a discussion, or the theme was Neuralink and BCI, which I had to confess that is not my area, but that that this was a great opportunity to give some real context to what Neuralink did present, and then talk briefly about what did Neuralink actually talk about, and demo, and then basically set it up to describe what we could be doing in terms of NeurotechX and helping people get familiar with publicly available data sets that are absolutely relevant for Neuralink, like invasive electrophysiology, and of course point people to ongoing groups like Neurodata Without Borders that's working to bring a kind of like universal file format to invasive electrophys, and other projects like Dandy Archive that's part of the Brain Initiative to provide a kind of like one-stop shop for these kind of data sets and things like that. So just one last chance. Anybody who would like to introduce themselves and tell us what you're interested in? Just in case there was anybody, but I will just share. And okay, so this was the topic, Neuralink and brain-computer interfaces. And what I want to cover as very quickly, because again, this isn't my area, but a little history of brain surgery, then some history of brain implants, and of course the history of brain-computer interfaces. And these are kind of overlapping, but give you about the last 100 years of these brain devices, and that will give us the setup into Neuralink and appropriately a lot of its competitors, because there's a lot of existing companies that are already doing have devices. And then what I wanted to talk about is that the opportunities for us in terms of NeurotechX and animal imaging, NeurotechX and invasive electrophys, and then NeurotechX and intracranial recordings, which would be essentially the same thing, but with humans. So just really quickly, wanted to talk about the revolution that took place at kind of the beginning of the last century in terms of the, brain surgery up until about 1910 was kind of a death sentence. If you had to have your skull opened and surgery done, you were more likely to die of it than for them to be able to fix it. And but that changed in pretty much in a decade, and due to this usually credited to this one particular neurosurgeon, and who was not only a tumor surgeon, but also pioneered what is called now neurovascular surgery. And the real innovation was being able to cut into the brain and for you to not bleed out. So blood loss was really why you would die on the table. And I haven't found the pictures yet that I want I've seen enough presentations. I really want to show this one picture where the person's skull's exposed, and you just see all this metal coming out like the person's a hedgehog of clamps. Anyway, I'm gonna flesh this out with some historical images, but of course you can't really do the history of brain surgery without then talking about the 1930s. Of course, Jasper was the one who kind of pioneered or started talking about EEG. EEG became an academic subject in the kind of mid 30s. But Jasper was the one who said that he could localize epilepsy with EEG, and worked with Walter Penfield, who pioneered this at Montreal Neurological Institute, where they would use a local anesthetic and keep you awake while they're doing the surgery, and do what we call functional mapping, where you're stimulating the cortex and you're asking the person questions. And I got my real introduction to this from Carl Pribram, who was my first mentor in brain science, and his he was with us until he was almost 100, and so he had some really great stories from being right there in the room in the 1930s as a brain surgeon. Anyway, I can't do it justice in this time permitting. So a lot of what I just want to briefly cover in terms of brain implants comes from this Royal Society of Engineering article that Tim Dennison talked about at the MSRI workshop recently. But here's a CT, obviously, of an implant. In this case, this is a thalamic implant. This is for Tourette's. And yeah, you can, this has been going on for a long time for a number of disorders. As Tim talks about in this article, and this is, all the brain implant stuff is taken from Tim's article, you really need to look at cardiac pacemakers to get a good sense of where implants or the history on which brain implants are built. Because the cardiac pacemakers really drove this revolution. And part of that was, getting them inside the body, and part of that was the battery requirements. And so there's some cool stuff in terms of newer systems that are, like watches, like using the body's movement to actually recharge themselves. But here's just a timeline of external pacemakers through to what would be pretty essential these days, which is obviously to include MRI compatibility if they're going to be really chronic implants, and then of course things that we can slip into tubes. But then the next kind of set of implants, and I'm sorry that today, Joe Crew was scheduled to speak today. He had to drop out. He hadn't told me that he was getting married October 10th. So he's got bogged down in wedding planning, but he's going to join us in end of October, probably. I think we can guess it'd be November. But the reason I wanted Joe to come talk to us, who is a cochlear implant specialist and worked at Advanced Bionics, is that this is another kind of application area of implants that is mature. And the engineering has a good history, and they've you can see from the literature on cochlear implants that this is an engineering field as opposed to just kind of like a research area. And anyway, what's important to talk about here is that they are interfacing with the nervous system and building closed loop devices that are detecting and stimulating. So again, I'm hoping that Joe will give us a better introduction, both to the history of it as well as to where the state of the art is today. And just finally, of course, deep brain stimulators for Parkinson's are probably the next most well known of the implants in terms of I don't know if people have seen. This is where I should drop in a picture of the YouTube videos that do exist of Parkinson's patients, showing their tremor with and without the stimulator, and just the remarkably rapid change that you see in motor control that they experience. So yeah. Anyway, I'm also looking for somebody to come talk to us about some of these. I think it would be interesting to talk about some of the problems that come up with them. But the one thing I wanted to talk about was that this is something that is now being discussed in terms of mental illness as well. And so I've Brian Strange in Madrid is the first person I saw that was at least looking for people interested in working on deep brain stimulation for schizophrenia. But you can see this is your European Congress of Neuro something. I forget ECNP, but this conference just took place this week. So the 15th, they were talking about they had a panel talking about the results of deep brain stimulation in schizophrenia, which is what my interest is really. But now, brain-computer interface, I'm going to kind of punt to Mikhail Lebedev's talk from BCI 101 because it's a really lovely history of BCI, and in particular, Mikhail's there at Duke, and so lots of he's got lots of great cat videos and non-human primates. And again, like I was talking with Mohit, like, really capturing not only like central pattern generator, like, walking and other, gaits from decerebrated cats and things like that, but fine motion control in non-human primates. So I can't beat that. Luckily it's all there on YouTube and the NeurotechX channel. But just wanted to, Elon Musk ends up talking a little bit about the Utah array, and least in their, there's very short set of slides that they had. But I think the only thing I really wanted to bring up was the differences between these kinds of implants that for BCI that Mikhail talks about and you see with the Utah array versus the kinds of things that the neurosurgical arrays that you'll see with people like Ed Chang at UCSF. And the difference is that you see with some of Ed Chang's work where you get these like 256 grids that are laid out across the brain surface. They're, it's quite incredible. And again, like the literature on these neurosurgical arrays is super impressive in terms of how the kind of speech decoding that they're able to do, and that's the real focus of Chang Lab. And you know, Liberty Hamilton, who's now moved to Austin, and you know, he's had a great set of people working with him that keep you know, surpassing their previous paper in terms of accuracy of decoding and sophistication of decoding. But it's very, very different, right? It's very much more like decoding as opposed to interfacing with neurons. So just to get that difference when we're talking about neurosurgical arrays that we see with essentially with intracranial patients, and the kind of brain-computer interfaces that the Utah array and some of the research that Zuckerberg has funded, as well as what you see with the Utah array. But anyway, so what did Neuralink actually talk about? So these are I basically recreated the 3 or 4 slides that they showed. And so they're talking about the Utah array. They did have some pictures, but this is, you know, kind of like the specs that they were talking about. You know, only 100 channels per array, that is, you know, spiked into the person in a very invasive fashion. But the big thing being that you end up with a big box and a bunch of wires. And as they emphasized, and it's a very valid point that we saw discussed at the MSRI conference too, that it's a big infection risk, and more importantly, this isn't something that works autonomously, right? That this is, you know, research work with a big, you know, specialized team, both for the surgery and for making the device do the decoding that you're going to test when it's in place. And these aren't chronic, obviously, or these aren't designed for long-term use. So now the deep brain stimulator that people are familiar with from things like Parkinson's is much lower channel count. It's not designed for high bandwidth information, right? These are literally stimulators, and it's going to destroy some of the brain tissue. But these are all people that have, you know, really serious problems, or they're losing motor control, or, you know, and so the trade-off is warranted. The issue about neurosurgical planning for deep brain stimulation is another, you know, area in itself of research. You know, pre-surgical planning is done with incredible amounts of imaging information and prep work and workups of the subjects. And yeah, so it doesn't always work like that. You know, they do from time to time miss their targets. And instead of improving a situation, it makes it worse. But, you know, it's still considered best practice for a number of disorders. So just wanted to say that it is, you know, getting those channels to where you need them to be is still not something that is perfect clinically now. So in one sense, I'm just setting this up for the Neuralink, you know, what Neuralink is trying to actually offer. So this is what they talked about last year was this device that sat behind the ear, and then there was, you know, a keyhole entry behind the ear, through the skull, and then very long threads to the target regions. And what they are now demonstrating, or now what they're talking about, is essentially replacing a piece of skull that is close to the target and having small tendrils come down from that skull replacement device into the target region. And it's important to mention this because that means that you've got a very specific goal, right? That unless you're going to use multiple links, you're not going to be targeting different functional areas. Right. So this is their actual spec. It's a 1024 channel wireless implant, designed to be flush with the skull to essentially replace the skull. And once you compromise the skull, that's the source of infection risk. And you're not just compromising the skull. Well, we'll somewhat talk about how they're they still need to get these very thin wires into the brain. But certainly they talked quite a bit about their, desire to get high bandwidth information and to have some sort of, battery life, even with onboard processing. So just wanted to, mention the fact that this is less than what they talk about in their paper. So, for quite a while, all we had was this 2019 paper, which I didn't even realize had actually been published, but I thought it was just archive only. But anyway, this is less than what they had talked about in that paper. But again, like happy, there's still a lot of innovation in the specs that they did hit here. So some of this was just to give people a bit more background in terms of, Neuralink's drawing, has always had an excellent science team drawing from all the great Bay Area institutions. And the team has, if you look at their research work, they've done lots of surgical work in non-human primates with optogenetics and simultaneous electrophys. And they have animal research facilities outside San Francisco. And even if you say that their goal is to produce a medical robot, I mean, their stated goal is to produce a robot that is doing the surgery. There's a lot of medical robotics and tissue physics to work out to be able to do the kinds of things that they're talking about doing. And like I said, it's like getting, hitting targets with deep brain stimulation is harder than what they are proposing. But they've made it a very different challenge in the sense that they're taking much finer wires, trying to push them into the brain and hit even kind of like smaller targets, because they're trying to get close to cells. They're trying to not cause bleeding. And anyway, we'll see a little bit, or I can give you some example papers in terms of simulations that are necessary for this.
So that actually, so correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there aren't any FDA approved BCIs, right? For paraplegia.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I'd want to say
this is new territory.
Yeah, I mean, that's
in a kind of, I mean, there'll be lots of research devices and experimental things going on, but there isn't the equivalent. If they were going in for the, doing something like a Parkinson's, deep brain stimulator, then they would be going into a market and going up against devices that are established and there's been a lot of work on, but they're going somewhere completely new. Well, not completely new, but somewhere where there isn't like a de facto canonical therapeutic device that 150,000 people have around the world or whatever.
Right, right. And I'm not sure what the numbers are for cochlear implants, but that's why I kind of mentioned those in terms of like, that's the closest thing that we have to, you know, a well-developed BCI. You know, it's sensory focused. You know, you might call it more like a prosthetic retina. But at the same time, you know, that's actually one of the things that you know, Neuralink's Dan Adams talks about.
I'm wondering how they're going to get a data rate that high with so little energy expenditure, especially while also trying to do stimulation. But like, I have a lot of friends with cochlear implants back at RIT, because that Rochester Institute of Technology had an engineering school specifically for deaf and hard of hearing, and they a lot of people had cochlear implants. I'd say at least 2 to 3 people in every class I was ever in, and a lot of them, they had to have multiple of their device because of the battery power. And they'd still run out at the end of the day. There'd be times where you'd have to switch, they'd just have to switch to lip reading or all these different methods. And if Neuralink tries to be a fix for any psychological disorder or something, it probably is something that running out of battery is not something it's supposed to do if it's trying to solve or help with some neurological issue.
Sure. I mean, you know, I think it's really important, you know, like this isn't the kind of thing that he's going to say in this demo that he needed for momentum, but, you know, like everything that Facebook said about the AR glasses, like absolutely 1,000 times pertains to this, which is like, this isn't a product. You know, this is a technology demonstration. And the only thing I'll add is that, you know, let's not, I mean, I think that Neuralink plays to a lot of, you know, Tesla's strengths and SpaceX's strengths, in the sense that they know robotics and they are, you know, they know batteries. So and they know, well, and they've probably got a lot of really good material science people, which again you saw in that audience, right? And like I, you know, covered in the Buzz and Review, way before we knew any of this, is just like, even if they're just trying to solve the medical robotics and kind of like implant design goals, like there's a lot to do. It's all engineering. And you know, and like they'll make the trade-offs that they'll probably make really good trade-offs. I mean, let me anyway, we'll get back to this for sure. So yeah, like what they're trying to do is devices that will be implanted by a surgical robot. Thin wires must be directed exactly without tissue damage or bleeding. Yeah, material science and right. So yeah, kind of your points. Like we're not sure what their, you know, their real functional goals are yet, except that it'd be motor control, but it would be, you know, auxiliary in the sense that like this isn't going to be a real solution. This is really a demonstration of what will be, you know, it's like a prolegomena to a future product.
Yeah, I could see them actually pivoting back to it having something external. Like they're going to have, like they mentioned, a way to charge it through probably wireless charging.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they design either hats or something that have extra battery in it, so you can charge it when you're just sitting around doing nothing. Which would make a lot of sense. And
ASICs have been going down a lot. Tesla uses some ASICs in their computer vision, so they probably are familiar with custom silicon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, again, like, I mean, we're just more familiar with the Tesla stuff, but you know, SpaceX too, right? Like, they build real stuff, and so now it's like it's miniaturization and efficiency, but they know how to do these kind of engineering trade-offs. It's really what are they going to set as their first, you know, functional goal. But
yeah,
like the only thing that we do know is that they didn't give us enough details to have these guesses, right? So anyway, we talked a bit about this in terms of, you know, there really is other literature in terms of catching up on what Neuralink is up to. So this is the sewing machine paper with Tim Hansen and Flip Sabies and others. But you know, do check this paper out to get more details. And then the of the speakers, you know, there was really kind of two people that were speaking more from the neuroscience, and the second was Daniel Adams, which I just pulled this one particular paper of his. So he's, you know, historically a non-human primate vision science researcher. I like this particular paper because it sort of speaks to, you know, some of the models that we use as perhaps not being as important as we think they are. But you know, see the people that were speaking and catch some of their research, and you can get a very good idea of where they are in terms of their neuroscience, if you will. So in terms of talking about the competition, you know, I can't say enough about this MSRI workshop for clinical translation of implantable devices that took place starting the day before the Neuralink demonstration. And Ed Chang from UCSF was one of the first, was kind of like the morning keynote speaker of this. But then it continued on. You can check out the full speaker list. In terms of bioelectronic medicine, yeah, that speaker list included people that were involved in all sorts of you know, implant and cybernetic control devices in terms of, you know, closed loop, record, stimulate, and, or, you know, detect, stimulate, and, you know, cochlear implants. We talked a little bit about a couple weeks ago about vagal nerve stimulators. Of course, the deep brain devices that we covered, but there's plenty more. And they did talk about, they distinctly mentioned spinal cord implants as a focus. So, you know, maybe we shouldn't necessarily think about or only think about the cortical ones that they describe, because there could be, you know, again, like in the clinical space, there's plenty of need in other non-cortical areas. and again, like this, you can find the slides. Oh, sorry. What did I do? Sorry. Excuse me. You can find these slides from Tim Dennison. So this is bioinduction, is developed and patented a new treatment that restores normal blood flow to the brain. So this is the Pico.
Your video stopped. It looks like it just says loading.
Oh. You don't see the PicoStim device?
Nope. Do other people?
Nah, it's just a black loading screen. Oh, and your face is back up.
Sorry about that.
Perfect.
Oh, it's there.
You got it? Okay. So so Tim talked about bioinduction, and I just wanted to show his picture of this, which is, is kind of what Neuralink is talking about, except that they're not trying to replace the skull. And again, like you, as soon as you breach the skull, you got a whole host of other problems, right? So I'm pretty sure that their choice here is to not do that. Anyway, so. But certainly with the same design considerations of make it small, make it power efficient. And we've talked about neotherapeutics before, and this relates to, the DARPA RAM project. And here's one of the first examples where this is data that we can play with now, right? So you can go to memory.psych.upenn.edu/RAM, and you can get these files. And so super interesting work in terms of, in this case, this is rat work, but with implants in the hippocampus that detect when you're trying to make or trying to recover a memory, and in given particular conditions, then will stimulate to improve that recovery. So it's super interesting, and you do need to request this data, and you do need to have an affiliation, but it is publicly available. So Paradromics is the one that we posted, their papers, and so the Argo, which is somewhat recent in terms of July 17th, which is a 65,000 channel recording system. So they're doing some, awesome work in terms of, their own silicon devices with incredible sampling rates. And, it's super impressive stuff. All of this, including most of the Neuralink work, was all originally Brain Initiative funded projects, right? What they did time for release right with the Neuralink demonstration was a laser ablation of pia mater for insertion, which again, like, gets at some of the other issues that aren't as sexy as talking about brain reading and things like that, but are absolutely necessary to solve well. And this is work that they are doing in CHEAP. And Stentrode, we talked in the Buzz and Review, and this is work that is taking a different approach in terms of focusing on devices that can go into the vasculature. So by avoiding doing some sort of brain tissue surgery, they don't have to worry about bleeding and things like that. They just have to worry about doing endoscopic like work. And this is actually very well developed, in terms of both in the brain and of course in blood vessels all over the body, right? So what came out was just after the Neuralink was that Stentrode was given breakthrough device status for this, and that gives them access to Medicare reimbursement soon. So one of the things the MRSRI workshop talked a lot about was the with presentations from the FDA and DARPA and things like that, was a lot of really practical considerations for how do you get your device startup some sort of revenue and paths to revenue. So now just want to switch. I mean, so that was what I could really say about the the Neuralink demo. Didn't have a lot of particulars. We still don't really know what they're going to do, and it was very different than last year's presentation in terms of its setup. But just wanted to go through what NeurotechX could be offering, or what we could be talking about in terms of resources. Yeah, so all this work, as you see, is taking place in animals, and this is where neuroengineering research really takes place, right? So certainly, if you do this, or if you're familiar with places like Janelia Farm and Allen Institute, Drosophila and zebrafish are model systems that get used a lot, especially for their genetic manipulation, and the zebrafish in particular because they have they're a vertebrate. So people knocking in genes to zebrafish for all sorts of things. And yeah, now we usually are maybe more familiar with kind of mouse work. That certainly is the the workhorse of clinical research, especially for cancer and things like that. But then just to talk about some of the other animals that actually do get used. So to talk about the ferret, just as a model system that Roberto Toro at Institut Pasteur has used because of its of the brain folding that it has that's similar to humans. I've been to the pig and sheep imaging workshops that have always taken place, and they have not only brain structure like us, but because of their development cycle, there's a lot of similarities, and they're still considered the most widely used model system for looking at gut issues, and we also use them for surgical practice in terms of skin and tissue, bone damage, and repair. And then, of course, non-human primates, which are used in a lot of psychology research and trained for cognitive experiments that relate to brain research. So there's places like the Mouse Imaging Center, as well as the Allen Institute, that you can find resources on the mice. This is a conference at the Val de Loire that was first where we were trying to take tools like FreeSurfer and apply them to pig and sheep systems. So and people like Christophe Destrue, that you might know from FreeSurfer, was working on stereotactic maps of pigs and sheep, and then of course the recently this Primate Resource Exchange, which is an open resource for non-human primate neuroimaging, that is also at least one of the PIs is also behind or is the director of the Child Mind Institute. So, oh, sorry. I forget what that particular, anyway, I'll figure out what that particular slide was. But what I want to talk about was BrainWeb. So the last meetup was July 15th. We're scheduled to have another meetup soon. This is a great place to talk to animal imaging researchers. So these are the people that also gave us the wonderful additions to JITC additions to the OHBM and posters together with Yarrick and Neurodebian folks. And we're hopefully, and so Roberto Toro, who I talked about with the ferrets, also runs this brain catalog, which has a wonderful collection of MRIs from all sorts of species. And there's a Twitter feed from it that just posts a random animal MRI, I think daily or on some basis, but that's great. So yeah, they really do have like a duck-billed platypus and things like that. So so I know it's after 9. I'm gonna just run through this really quickly, but so invasive electrophys is very different than the kind of EEG, FNIRS, non-invasive stuff that we're typically talking about at NeurotechX. But next week is the Neurodata Without Borders user training. There's a history of hackathons with them, and it's a great place to learn about intracellular and extracellular electrophys and calcium imaging resources. And then the Allen Brain Observatory is together with the Allen Institute itself, is a wonderful resource for all of these, making incredibly rich data sets available, along with cellular data and genetic data of all sorts. That's really hard to match. So if you check this link, and I can make these slides available, you can get all these links, is the list of Neurodata Without Border hackathons that's trying to bring a kind of common file formats to all of these different data sets, as well as the kind of metadata, so that you know how to process them. So I was at the User Days workshop in May, and luckily it was more North America time zone focused. But what you get is, in addition to all the specific presentations from NWB people, you also got these breakout sessions with developers of multiple tools that relate to different aspects of research, either data management, analysis, or visualization. And some of these specifically are focused on things like calcium imaging, I think Suite 2P, but some of these, like Brainstorm, are very much tools that you would use for EEG as well as intracranial recordings. So yeah, this is the 9th workshop is taking place 21st to 23rd, and there'll be a slightly different set of speakers or developers talking, but I definitely want to focus on Dandy in particular, and because the Dandy archive, which is basically run by the same people who brought us things like NiPipe and a number of other neuroimaging tools, as well as DataLad. And this is a Brain Initiative archive for publishing and sharing cellular neurophysiology data. And there's talk here of Sonata data format, and you can get details about this. But what you can see here is that it's HDF5 based, which is also the basis of MRI formats like MINC. And as data sets grow huge, there's a bunch of reasons to use these kind of HPC file format libs like HDF5, which, you know, HDF and net CDF merged. Anyway, you might recognize things that look like the snout data that you saw at the Neuralink demo here. And yeah, just again, a shout out to the Allen Brain Observatory in terms of their kind of, you know, incredibly rich data sets that they've made available. And in particular, this visual coding calcium responses data set that is talked about in this paper. And Christoph Koch is also one of the speakers, was also one of the speakers at the MSRI workshop on implantable devices. So just last wrapping up. So as you move to, you know, what we're going to call intracranial recordings, or basically, you know, devices like ECOG that are put in humans because they have particular disorders, and, you know, like epilepsy, that are also wonderful platforms to learn about brain activity and brain function. So Brainstorm was recently working on an invasive neurophys version, or what it's calling in Brainstorm. And you can find links to its description here, as well as their paper. But you know, they're adding spike sorting and other resources to Brainstorm pipeline, or, you know, Brainstorm tool. And MMVT, so the Stuffle Beam Lab at MGH has a long history of working on MRI CT integration for ECOG. I've used their tools before, and it's compatible with FreeSurfer. So what I really love about this is that they're using Blender for their visualization backend, their rendering backend. And anyway, this is, it's not publicly available. You can request it from them. But in terms of the tools that they work with, this is what I'm hoping that we can work on, in that they're definitely using MNE to as their, you know, their electrophys package. And yeah, just just talk about the SOFA framework from INRIA, the kind of NSF of France. This is where you can see some great examples of the kind of biomechanical modeling and finite element modeling that is, you know, an active research area for the kinds of things that that Neuralink's proposing. We're already using finite element models for various electrical impedance tomography like applications, like the Spectra kit. That's also a great research, you know, a great research tool from Gene Rintoul, who used to be here at NeurotechX San Francisco. But anyway, that there are, you know, there's like papers that you can catch up and see how sophisticated this work really is, and how well developed these engineering areas really are in tools like these, together with Slicer and Slicer RT and Slicer IGT. So what I'm hoping is that we'll have an invasive NeurotechX special interest group. Please get in touch if you'd be interested. Join up for next week's Neurodata Without Borders user training to at least catch, you know, what people are doing, and, you know, see the developers talking about their tools. I've learned a lot from them. And if you are interested, the Neurodata, you know, in helping us make more of these tools available to others, please get in touch with NeuroFedora or NeuroDebian. We're always looking for people with Linux skills, packaging skills, and, you know, there's a lot of tools that we could make even more accessible and again, contribute to the ecosystem. So that's it for now. Sorry I went over, but I just wanted to get us we didn't record that for this Sunday's presentation, and yeah, just would love to see if there are others that are interested in helping NeurotechX, work on tutorials, or certainly listing these kinds of resources. My slides will be a start that we can build on, and it won't be hard to find some more of these historical images to at least flesh out the history. Yeah. Any questions I can answer before we wrap up?
I'll say I'm a taker at some level, joining in on invasive stuff. Like for me, particularly ECOG is something that I'd like to have a full picture of what the open data sets and high quality data sets around the world are. And I don't know that yet. It's something that's not that, and also actually TMS for that matter. Like they don't seem to be as well indexed as EEG or MRI. It's a little bit more of a Wild West. Yeah. I mean, certainly one of the things that I think about a lot and talk about whenever I can is the KCNI summer school, in terms of I think it was like day 3 with the LF Pi stuff. Just imagining like not only being able to do simulations like that, but obviously be able to access, maybe with Dandy Archive, like we see that there's actually a lot more publicly available data. I mean, ECOG, well, yeah, the brainstorm paper definitely is talking more about the ECOG, but they don't actually, or they weren't linking to a big database that I could see. So yeah, I'd love to see more of that publicly available. But I don't, I mean, I need to find out like how much of Ed Chang's data is available, for instance. I know there's a lot of stuff so the NIH data archive has a lot of stuff, and it's growing, and it's clearly going to be like a big deal resource. I mean, it already is, but in the future, like immediate future, it's going to be so there's stuff like the EMBARK trial data, which isn't invasive EEG, invasive ECOG. But
I just
that would be the kind of place that I think would have that, and also a Human Brain Project actually have a fair bit of ECOG as well on the eBrains platform.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'd love to see, and see us pull that together, as well as the fact that like we're not the only ones. Like I think it's the kind of thing that Neurodata Without Borders is trying to do. Maybe not so much on the ECOG, but yeah, I've been poring over. I mean, I just got the email from the NIMH data archive in terms of like the AMP schizophrenia resource, like a whole bunch of data sets I didn't know existed. Well, anyway, yes, we'll make these slides available. Yannick said that after he heard about this, he said that they've had discussions with people about doing more invasive stuff. So
it seems like this is the time. It's like Neuralink has made NeurotechX kind of. Maybe it will be the case that Neuralink made NeurotechX take invasive stuff seriously, and generated interest in looking at that kind of data, even though it's less hacking, more data science.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be great. And so if people have said something on introductions, excuse me, if they've said something on introductions about, sorry about my dogs, having experience in invasive electrophys, I've got in touch and said, hey, this is the kind of thing that we're trying to put together. Would you be interested in helping, or at least, helping us navigate some of this stuff? And so got a few people that are already interested and that I've met with. And of course, Brian Jenkins, our own Connectome manager, is in a rat electrophys lab. So yeah, but I'd love to see more ECOG and well, I mean, I think we've talked before about seeing more anesthesia data. So I know I'm going to have to run. So gotta meet some ice cream duties. Want to thank Ryan and Alex for being our videographers. As always, I pointed this out on Slack. It's 6 months that we've done this every week. So anyway, thank you to everybody who's contributed. And I look forward to another 6 months and seeing, and I don't know if in 6 months we'll necessarily be able to meet in person, but we're gonna keep doing this no matter what online.
Yep. Yeah, we